Stay tuned for urban legends to ghostly tales of the paranormal, because now it's time for
Message on the Wall.
This is Message on the Wall and the Lost Friends. When John and his friend Michael were invited to stay for Christmas with a mutual friend in the north of England, both thought it would make a pleasant change and agreed to drive, even though it would mean a long journey. Setting off from London, the further north they got, the worse the weather, and soon large snowflakes began making any progress very slow. To add to that, they also found they were lost. After driving aimlessly round, with one country lane looking like the other, darkness soon began to fall. It was then that they spotted a light, and with some relief headed towards it. Opening a large pair of gates, the car trundled up the snow-covered drive to a big house. Pulling on an ornate handle, a bell was heard to ring somewhere within the house. It was a few moments later that the large, heavy doors was opened by what looked to be a butler. John explained that they were lost, and giving his friend's address, the man gave them directions. In return for his help, Michael gave the man £50 before setting off into the darkness once again. The butler's directions led them to their friend, and with arriving much later than expected, explained to their host how if it wasn't for finding the house and getting directions, they would still have been out on that cold wintry night. On being told this, their host laughed, saying he had never heard anything so ridiculous. After having something to eat, John and Michael went to bed, and it wasn't until the following morning that the subject of their journey and the house was brought up again. John and Michael insisted they'd got directions from a large house not far away, which set off quite a heated argument with their friend, who told them it was impossible as the house they were talking about burned to the ground 20 years before. They finally decided the only way the argument was going to be settled would be to go to the house in daylight, and that is what they did. On pulling up to the large gates, John and Michael looked beyond, to the end of the drive where there was nothing more than a few bricks and ashen remains. No longer the house they had seen in its full glory. Getting from the car, the three men approached the rusty gates, with one hanging from a broken hinge, and a rusted padlock meant to keep out intruders. That would have been the end of the matter, except on the other side of the gates, running up to where the house had been, there in the snow was a set of tyre tracks. Now their host was a little more impressed. Finding a way into the grounds, the three men made their way up to the house. Now up close they could see a fire had certainly ravaged the place, and there, where the large front door had once stood, resting in the snow, was a shiny half-crown. You have been listening to Message on the Wall, brought to you in association with Paranormal Parodies. You can find Paranormal Parodies at paranormal-parodies.com.